Hey, it's Don, the auction professor here.
How's everybody doing today? We've been doing some work here trying to get some things situated, different camera, different lighting, and I'm going to have someone on today, so thought I'd throw that out there. People ask on who else works here and things along that line as well too, so we'll talk about that today. It's been a really good week, productive-wise. I got a lot done this week, more so than I usually do. Employee-wise, it's been going good. We've got some new endeavors, as I've talked about. I do have a Kickstarter that's up. At this way, I figured we had nothing to lose with the Kickstarter. At this point, I will already have my money back out of the items as literally as soon as I mail something off. So I just have time into what we're doing here at this point. Week-wise, and sales have been good, so hopefully everybody else is picking up. We had a slow first week, and it wasn't like dead or anything. We were pretty much just level the whole time. And then we kind of started to pick up. As I said, the first 7 to 10 days of every single month is slow for the most part, especially after the Christmas holiday season. So, and I've got some stuff to go over too. I've got a page and a half of notes today. As I said, I always take notes. I always write stuff down whenever I have or anything arises, and a lot of stuff like that. So I'm going to introduce you to Ian here. Ian's going to pop up here in just a second here. We've been playing around with stuff. So Ian is one of my employees. He's been with us for 2 years. So why don't you say hi there, Ian?
Hello.
And again, Ian's friends with our kids. He's been to our house for, how long you been coming over here?
Probably like 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, probably somewhere in that range. And he's worked for us for, how long you worked here, Ian? 2 years maybe?
Year and a half.
Year and a half. I think maybe a little longer than that, but somewhere in that range. So Ian does pretty much everything. Ian actually did some of the shipping for us while we were gone. He's pretty much a go-to person. Our kids do stuff just like that too, but Ian's been with me probably one of the longest. He's one of the non-family members. I think I hired him first for the non-family wise. So, and Ian pretty much does everything. He does my videos, so if you hear me chatting and hollering for Ian, this is Ian, just so you can see. He's in another part of the building. You can see some oddball stuff behind him. He's near one of the only windows in the dungeon that we call it here. So anyway, we will let Ian go for now. We're going to have some other things going on, of course, as I said. Talk about some issues and things like that. I've got new videos coming up and shot. I've got new Patreon videos ready for this weekend. Let me think here. What else do we got going on? Again, I did say Kickstarter. Some business plan issues I've got going on. And we're going to talk about sales increases too here, probably a little bit too. How to get your sales going up. I did have a video out for those of you who already saw it. We had MEagles out just the other day. If you grew up on that, you know exactly what they are. For me, I grew up on MEagles, and I played with most of those ones you saw, so I have real fond memories of having those on here. So it was kind of neat to see them again, and I do run into them quite often. I've got one in a bin behind me here, actually. I wanted to touch a little bit on eBay suing Amazon, too, because for those of you who aren't familiar or you don't do retail arbitrage, there's a big scam and thing going on between eBay and Amazon. They're bickering, they're in court, and they're actually eBay suing Amazon for stealing third-party sellers, kind of like us type of people, trying to get them to sell on Amazon versus eBay. So that's some of what I've seen going on. It's been all over the news, so if you haven't seen it, some warnings I'll probably shoot out for you. And I've talked about before too, we've expanded our Amazon. We've done retail arbitrage for, geez, 2+ years now. FBA we've done for a lot longer than that. We just got approved for Handmade by Amazon. We've got the Merch by Amazon. I've got business to business on Amazon as well too, where we can sell bulk in from our business to another business, and it also allows us to buy from one business to another business. So there's other avenues, if you're unaware of all that, that's out there. So, you know, and I've talked about, you know, sales increases and things like that. Word to the wise, if you're not increasing your sales on eBay, you've got other sites to make up the difference. It doesn't all have to come from eBay. When sales change and things like that, double audio.
I don't know which one to mute.
Try.
One of them says downspeed, the other says mic/aux.
Try the mic/aux.
tell you how it sounds.
Yeah, let me know if we still have double here. It'll take just a second. The computer is not on, actually. All the volume's off. We've got a second feed coming in, so it worked fine on the test, but unfortunately it is not, apparently. Is it double still, Ian?
I have to wait for YouTube to catch up because I don't make.
Okay, hang on. We've
like
got that
on
lag. If you don't know that I'm talking and 10 seconds later, 15 seconds later, it's played on the screen. There's a lag where we're at. And it's terrible where we're at. So unfortunately, we're out in kind of the country, so I can't get any real good internet connection. So it sounds like we're good now. We can hear everything. No double. Somebody want to pop that out there? Shipping sunshine, no double, then it sounds like. So I think we got it. We use broadcasting software, and obviously I'm trying some new things and adding other feedback in here. You'll see other things, and I've talked about doing some live picks and hauls. I'll be doing some of those too, and we'll actually be showing you, as we look through postcards and things like that, showing you the ones to pick out. So you'll get to get some live like picking for me here from bulk purchases that I got. We're going to be showing I've got some storage unit coming in. I've got like 7,000 LPs that I purchased, and it's going to fill up. I'm going to have to take like 3 trips. If you haven't picked up LPs in mass quantity, they weigh a ton. I'm not going to rent a vehicle because, again, I'm cheap, but we're going to have our van here filled up probably 3 or 4 times, so we're not going to shoot a spring on it. But I'm going to show you probably one of the best collections of LPs that I've gotten in a long time. I don't mess with LPs, so you're going to get to see some other things going on here. So again, I've talked about it before. We're advancing as we can. I haven't made a dime on this. Everything that I've earned from anything we've done on here goes right back into the channel, whether it be, you know, buying stuff for, you know, some background material, or buying some new equipment, or buying the ability to add more video feeds into here from our area so we can show you some new things. So that's what we're looking at, advancing this. It's easy for me to show you a video what's good to buy, but it's hard to show you when you see a whole bunch of stuff out there which item's the best item to pick out. So I think that's one of the biggest questions I get all the time. How do I know which ones to look? I should be able to show you like literally me searching comps, looking this stuff up, you know, with a couple windows popping in here, and Ian will be holding up and showing and stuff, or whoever else I have working that day. So, you know, and we've got better actual videos coming out. You're going to see a couple more videos with the quality where the lighting's not so good, but I think we've spent the last 2 days, Ian actually helped me a couple hours yesterday, and we'll have better improved video in general so you can see the items better. I'll have more stuff intermingled in here. It's going to be the exact same thing we're doing. I'm not changing up the format or anything. It'll be the same basics you see right now, but it's going to be better quality and more information to you. So, and it should hopefully help you with, you know, being able to see and stuff like that too. So, but as I said, we will have a special guest on here in just a minute. Let me see if there was anything else, because I did have a few issues I wanted to go over, because I'm sure you'll have some questions and probably some comments. Our guests will talk for a few moments too. Let me think here. Let's see here, not to go off track here. Let me just shoot out this here on increasing sales. There's one surefire way that you're always going to increase sales, and it's the simplest thing you can do, which is list all the time. You know, eBay's not going to do anything to ruin or hurt a specific seller. So, you know, I talked to somebody today. I don't want to call out anybody if they're watching it. I have had the same thing brought up to me probably a couple dozen times about people saying their listings are not showing up on eBay at all. They can't find them anywhere. There's nothing on them. I just want to holler this out here, because when people do that and tell me that, I usually try and get their store name, and I'll go look and help them figure it out. Now, 9 out of 10 times, the person had the same exact title for all the items that they're saying weren't showing up. For those of you who don't know, you cannot ever use the exact same title for more than one listing ever, because it violates the duplicate listing policy. So when that happens, it pretty much screws you up. It's going to let you list the other items, but it's not going to show them. That may not be the case with everybody. There are other issues and things like that. Sometimes there's technical glitches. But in all honesty, out of the 20 plus stores that I've probably looked at where people couldn't find their items, I found them 9 out of 10 of them, there was issues with some of the items they said they couldn't find. They used the same title. And it may not even be an intentional thing. Sometimes when you hit sell similar item, if you're not paying enough attention, you could leave the same title and not realize you did it. It's really easy to do. The more listings you have, for like us with 50,000 plus listings, it gets to be really confusing if you're not paying close attention. And a couple on our behalf even, you know, slip through the cracks. So, you know, that's just something to think about when you're doing this. I can't see any way, shape, or form eBay's going to try and hide a specific seller. They may put you farther down on search results if you've got bad feedback. You don't list very much at all, you're hardly ever on, or you're just pretty much ignoring yours. If you don't answer email, they're not going to put you high on the list either, because it shows you're not interested in interacting with the customers, your buyers. Other things that you need to 100% make sure you got is a good, and I mean a good gallery view of your image. So when you're browsing, that your photo stands out. White background helps them stand out, in my personal opinion. If you look at like comp sales on certain items, look at the photos. Usually, if it's like a common item, the ones with photos that are really sharp, really zoomed in, that just show the item, are going to sell more. You'll see them higher and you'll see more of them selling. So the sell-through rate on ones with better photos sells better. It's just a given. Same with titles. Keywords are so much more important. And I'm going to hit this and hammer this on a video here coming out real quick too. You got to have the keywords. And the most important things in that listing have to be first in that listing. The very first thing you see. That helps with your search results right across the board. So, and as I said, the other thing, list, or when you have a bunch of watchers, your item's been up for 30, 60, 90 days, and you're not selling those items, but they have 5, 6, 7. I had items with 10 different watchers that have been up for like 5 months. So if that's not a sign to you, if you can't say, hey, I've had something up for 5 months, it's got a bunch of watchers, 10 watchers, I know the item sells, the number one thing it's going to be almost every time is the price. For 10 people to be watching the same item, you know it's got comp sales, but it still isn't selling, it's your price. You know, chances are. And I price high, so I can come back in and mark it down and still accept an offer, which was another question I had. When you mark it down, do you still accept offers? Yes. For those of you who are doing bins, buy it nows, without a best offer, your sell-through rate is going to be lower. I can promise you that. Buy it nows without a best offer still do sell, of course, but you do not sell as many of them. Check the comps. Check a category. Sort through the comps and look through which ones sell better. Best offer sells better than, you know, just a straight fixed price auction or fixed price bin. It's a fact. You can look it up. You know, just like auctions these days, for the most part, aren't as good or as popular as the buy it nows with best offer. And that's just a ploy. The times change. I used to do auctions almost exclusively. Nowadays, I very rarely do them unless the auction's in a category where you know, there's just no way to know. There's too much fluctuation in the prices. I know the categories that I need to do the auctions in just from doing this. You know, over 6 years now we've been doing this. So, you know, that's just the ploy here. Before we go any farther, I'm going to introduce you to my better half. I know she hasn't been on the videos very much. She does a lot of other stuff here for us. She's worked for us for a long time, obviously, as a husband and wife team. We've worked together. We've done God knows what together. My family is a very tight-knit family. This is the wife. Why don't you grab a chair? We actually got a little chair. We've moved stuff around here trying to get it a little better here. Hopefully we're in shoddy and everything going good here. This is my wife. Lamara is her name, but we all call her Marky. And that's kind of where you get modern Marky from. My confirmation name was Marky as well, too. I have a DBA that I used to use, and I used to sign things Mark Heidi, which is just try to separate yourself from some of the artwork if there's issues with it. So we've worked together for a long time. We're best buds. We're best friends. Geez, our family has been tight, so people who see us out in public think we're kind of a little out there sometimes. She knows what I'm talking about. You know, we're like two peas in a pod. The kids fit right in with us, too. So for those of you who aren't a family-based business, you're missing out. You know, if it's a husband and wife, you know, and it's just the two of you, and only one of you's doing this, you know, you both can have the same freedom as I do. So I mean, and she helps out pretty much, does everything here.
Oh, I do some.
Well, you know, she does. She's able to do everything here. We've got kids, for those of you, and the kids work for us too. And then we've got 4 other people that work for us. You saw Ian today. You know, we do a lot together, and it's been our life. So, you know, we were through Hurricane Katrina.
That was fun.
Yeah, we were through Hurricane Katrina together. You know, so we had some suffering there with, you know, losing a house. And then we moved up to D.C. and we had the sniper shootings, 9/11, and, you know, all the other fiascos up in D.C. You know, so, but I'll let her talk for just a minute here. She can tell you what she likes maybe about what we do in our life and how it's changed and things like that. So, it's Lamara. Lamara is a Southern name. Her father is Lamar. So, just for those of you who don't know,
just call me Marky.
Yeah, everybody calls her Marky.
Just call me Marky.
Everybody who comes to our house calls her Marky. I've called her Marky for years. So, again, that's where modern Marky comes from. So, just FYI, if you want to say something.
Oh, the benefits of being married to a man who does eBay is I get to keep the jewelry that I like. I love antique costume jewelry, and I have a nice collection.
Yeah, she ends up getting first dibs on most everything that we put up. So
he's not allowed to sell it if I like it.
She looks at the jewelry first. So for those of you who do husband and wife, I'm sure it's the same way with clothing or jackets, on the other hand, are a little different story. I've talked about jackets. We've got more jackets than anything. I love jackets. I've got a cafe racer that I wear specifically. It's a 60s one. I got a video actually partially shot. I'm going to show you some of my jacket collection. I've had somebody ask what's one of my favorite things besides the family. Jackets, I'll spend, I don't care how much on the right jacket. I got to have a certain jacket sometimes. Kids fight over it.
Oh.
We all can wear the same jacket, so it's kind of bad when 4 people like the same jacket, and they're the Fight Club jackets that everybody always seems to want to wear. Even
his jackets always end up in the kids' closets.
Yeah, I always kind of hunt one down. Where's my red jacket? And I got a real nice Brooks Brothers, if you guys know clothing. And I talk about, we used to do clothing. I had a Brooks Brothers when I was younger, and it was in a car accident, and the jacket was just trashed out. You know, I had saved one from a bike accident once that I rolled down the side, or the pavement, and it rubbed off half the jacket, and I saved that jacket as a memento, but the one jacket was trashed. So not too long ago, we were at a pick, and I don't look at clothing, as I've said, much anymore, but there was a Brooks Brothers sitting there, a real nice brown, 1980s, maybe 78, 79 era. I had to have it. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that drives me, and everybody likes something, and, you know, that's one of the things that I spend some money on. She's got some nice jackets, mostly leather. Wilson's, you know, another good brand and stuff, too, that I like. And, again, I don't buy them if, you know, for flip value on most of those kind of things. So, you know, clothing-wise these days, if I buy something, I'm going to wear it, chances are. So, pretty much so.
Yeah.
But, you know, like like with her with the jewelry, the necklace she has on is like a 1950s. It's just a typical thing. She's got more. We actually had to get a safety deposit box, actually, just because we had a bunch of it. So anyway, you know, that's one of the perks. She gets to spend time with the kids and stuff too. So. Oh
yeah, and I get to do laundry and dishes. Woo.
You know, but that's life. Everybody does that, I guess, too. You know, we had everybody here was sick too, and we had the flu going around. And for those of you who didn't know, we did go down to the coast. We did take off for 6 days. We spent down with the in-laws, but everybody was sick. So my oldest was not my oldest. My youngest was actually sick on Christmas Day. So, you know, we got down to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi in
Bay St. Louis. Yeah,
Bay St. Louis is where her family's from. If you're unfamiliar with the area. We lived in Meridian, Mississippi for a while, and we've got friends in Montgomery, isn't that where they're at?
All over the place.
They're all over, but we've got some friends that worked with us at Disney, and they're like our longtime friends. So we get up.
They're in Troy.
Troy, Alabama, if anybody knows that. We get up that way as well, too, occasionally. So we do travel occasionally. I was actually on the road the last day and a half trying to pick up. We had some retail arbitrage we were doing, too, so... let's see who's on here tonight. I see we got getting some more people in here tonight. Welcome, everybody. We're a little farther in on the video. I'm not going to call out everybody. I've tried to get more questions and get more content. I appreciate everybody in here, so I might call the name here and there. I'm not trying to snub anybody.
Black Crystal Dice, thank you. I love the necklace too.
Welcome,
That's why I
Black
kept
Crystal
it.
Dice. If you could see some of the things that we found, I mean, we find a lot of oddball stuff. I know a lot of people don't mess with costume jewelry. I get tons of it, and I do mean tons of it. We get it all the time. I can get costume jewelry like that was $2. I know it may not sound like, you know, some big score, but for a $2 piece, that's, you know, 50 bucks or so. I believe it's signed, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's Hollycraft, I think, or something along that line.
Carl back. Hi, back at you. How is your kid?
Our youngest, he's going to have to go back for tests. He's got to get another, he's going to be getting routine echo sounds, isn't that what it was?
Echocardiogram.
Echocardiograms, and he does have a electrophysiologist now, and we've got 2 cardiologists that he's seeing. So right now we're not gonna we're putting that aside because there's nothing we can do until we get some more results back. No answers on why, what, where, or anything else at this point now. So you know, it's just been, you know, kind of a roller coaster because you never know what's going on. We went through a big cancer scare with her for like 2 months of testing, and she had MRI, CT,
mammogram.
I mean, every possible test you can have. It came back, you know, positive and positive and positive, and we went through all the tests scared to death because, you know, her mom had issues too. So,
Yep.
I mean,
I have breast cancer in my family, my mother's side. My sister Vivian, she's a survivor. She had breast cancer. So that was just really scary, and I'm sure other people know exactly what I'm talking about.
So you guys, whoever watches The Bearded Picker, his wife is going through that too. So, you know, but she actually has cancer, which is, you know, my heart goes out to them as well. Just the scare enough, you know, knowing that you could lose somebody. So, you know, I don't want to talk a bunch about that kind of stuff, but, you know, there's you know, stuff happens. You know, that's why I say you got to be ready for stuff. You know, we don't flash out. We don't buy, you know, spend money on stuff unless we have to. Maybe jackets, as I said, but that's one of those things. So, and again, if somebody wants to buy something, I'm not criticizing anybody else who gets stuff or wants to buy this or that. Everybody has their vice. You know, mine's leather jackets. So I've talked about them. You see me wear jackets in it. I like vintage stuff. She likes vintage stuff. Maybe we'll show you some of our personal collection. We've got some really funky psychedelic 60s clothing and jackets and things like that too.
Yeah, the coats.
Coat-wise, yeah. So
and I
mean,
love vintage toys. I love my Weebles from the late 60s and early 70s. I also love the tree tots. I have the tree tot family tree house. Just a big kid, I guess, and I'll never grow up. But yeah, I even have dreams where I'm at yard sales and thrift stores and I come across a big lot of Weebles and I'm pushing people out of the way to get to them, and then I wake up and I don't have the Weebles, so that's a bummer.
People talk about, you know, taking things 100% serious. No, we do. We are very serious with what we do. You know, but there is, you know, a fun side. You know, toys. I have no problem collecting toys or, you know, selling and buying and stuff. You obviously see we create some things too. So for us, I'm not really worried about, you know, if somebody thinks we're weird for having all this stuff around.
We are weird.
We are weird, I guess you could say. So I'm not really worried about all that. You know, eBay has literally pretty much changed our life. So, you know, I can't speak enough about, we can do disco night. She's got a gold lame suit. Like, and a friend of ours, actually, we used to go to a thing at Disney, Pleasure Island. They had a 70s club there, and he had the John Travolta Staying Alive white sports coat and sports jacket, and we all used to hang out there. If anybody knows the old days in Disney, I worked at Disney for 10 years. You know, I did mural work there, too. I did artwork for Disney. I did some work for the animation department, and a lady by the name of Fran Kirsten, if you look her up, she used to be head of ink and paint. And she used to do stuff for us there too. But we know everything about the old Disney days. All of our friends used to hang out there. We went to the Adventurers Club. Pleasure Island used to be a good thing to hang out with. You get in as an employee for free. We'd always hang out. Friends would be there. Disney World was a pretty cool place to work. For those of you who haven't been there, I mean, it's a really interesting experience. You know, you're still a number, you're still working for somebody, so I would never give that up. But I met my wife at Disney. We actually got married under cuff at Disney. At a place called Little Lake Bryan, which isn't even there anymore. You know, so back in the day, Disney, you could do a lot of stuff, you know. there'd be the days drag racing down streets and things like that. Disney's a 43 square mile. It's owned basically, it's kind of like a little country. It's like the Vatican almost, Disney World, if you're not familiar. They've got their own private police force. Back in the day, they used to have almost exclusively Disney security guys would police it. So, you know, there was a couple roads in the back side of the property. Now you can't do it anymore, but you used to be able to get up to like 110 on the expressway. Well, not expressway, on the back Disney roads and stuff out there. So, you know, that used to be a drag race. That was something what they did. And the other thing they used to do all the time was the leftover food we'd feed to the alligators in the canals. You remember the one they were feeding? They had chicken out there trying to coax a 8-foot alligator up to the shore, which, you know, not the smartest thing to do. But
somebody had a question, John Carlson, about what did I go to school for?
Just you can answer that.
I wanted to get a degree, basically just a liberal studies.
We both have a
research and communications
degree from the University of Toledo. Yeah. We have a master's degree. We also have a BA, both of us. I don't want to be bragging. Whenever I say that, people make derogatory remarks like I'm trying to, you know,
I was
be vain.
40 years old in college.
Yeah, that didn't bother us either. We were both in school when we had our first child. So for us, we dropped out. I had to, you know, work about and support. You know, it wasn't about just us anymore. So we stopped college at that time. We were going to the University of Central Florida, the UCF for those of you who are from Florida. And we literally dropped out. And it took, you know, what, 14 years or somewhere in that.
Yeah. Well,
12,
we
14.
Dropped out. I was pregnant.
She was pregnant, you know, and we waited till the end. We were hoping to make it out, but it just didn't work out that way. And,
we thought, let's wait till we're 40-something to re-enter college. It'd be a hoot.
I honestly, though, you know, I'm glad we did it. It was enjoyable. We didn't get to take the same classes because she had one endeavor. I was originally going for an AS, Associates in Science. I was taking an IT degree, and I liked college. I was nervous. I didn't think I was going to, you know, do very well after all these years. Your brain kind of lags, you know, so I ended up taking a double. I did an AA and an AS so I could keep up with her. And then when we hit at a community college to save the money, and we actually were able to earn some scholarships from the GPA we had. And then when we went to the university, they covered part of our school with the transfer scholarships. And then we entered UT with a 3.93. And that gave us the academic transfer scholarship, and then we got the Phi Theta Kappa scholarship, and then we got the Honor Society scholarship too. So a lot of our school was paid for through scholarships. My son, so far for 2 years, he's shelled out like $450 total. He got academic transfer scholarships. He got the board of trustees for the community college. They actually ended up coming home with extra money for a car, even out of the scholarships he's won. So it's School is so important. And I'm not trying to brag. I'll get to the questions in just a second here. You don't have to go to school. I'm not trying to say school is for everybody. And I'm not trying to say anybody's lesser of a person if they don't go to school at all. I was immature. I did, you know, stupid things. And it took a while to grow up, even once you have kids. So, you know, I'm glad I went to school. I'm glad I earned the degrees that I have. I think it honestly made me a better person. You know, I was lacking in so many areas. You know, I talk about Lou, the Lou gentleman I have, and she knows him very well. He was one of my favorite bosses. Everybody loved Lou, and I mean everybody. When he walked into the room, everybody's Lou. It's kind of like Norm from Cheers or something, and you know,
very charismatic.
Yeah, you wanted to listen to him, this guy, and that's the kind of atmosphere I like. So anyway, let's get to some questions here.
Well, Jennifer said that she says, be proud, I'm 49 and just got my associates.
Well, congratulations, Jennifer. Let's go up and see, because, you know, everybody who's watched me knows I'm long-winded. So I'm going to go back and actually try to get, and we've had a pretty good week, so I've got this here. You know, it's been a real good week for us. Things are going really well. You know, and again, I've got a Kickstarter up, and even if it doesn't go anywhere, I'm not worried. We've already got our money back out of it anyway. Don't ever be afraid to take a chance on anything, like going back to school. And again, that's not everybody's cup of tea. There's much more successful people than me or the wife who've never spent a day in school. you know, that's not a judge on it. I did it for my own personal benefit, as well as I'm sure, you know, something that we wanted to do. So let's see. Carl saw the videos. I'm going to try to get some questions here. Let's see how much time we've yapped. So we got plenty of time here. Dominoes. I like dominoes. I remember them back in the old day. You know, parents played them. We used to go to her family, her granny's house up in the country in
Seminary, Mississippi.
If you ever see the movie Free State of Jones,
that's Jones County.
That's where her family is from. They're from Jones County. You know, and so we're in the heart of all that all the time. But we see the old timers, and when we first got married, we'd actually go into some of the stores like you see in maybe Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And that's literally how it is in some areas out in there, where they're still playing checkers on the front porch and stuff. Dominoes, the whole works, and it's a homey feeling if you haven't done it, you haven't been down that area. You know, at least I enjoyed our visits down there. We always went down there a lot. So let's get to some more questions. I know I'm terrible on it.
Carl wants to know
where are the typical MEagle markings located? On the back, a lot of them you'll see Hong Kong. It's usually on the back. You'll have to derobe the figures. They're not all going to be marked. If you find any and you need some, Carl, you can post a couple pictures in there. It doesn't even have to be a marked one. The bootleg knockoffs sell almost as well as the originals, and in some cases the bootlegs are even rarer than the originals. So I don't worry if it's marked or not. As long as it's vintage, you'll be able to tell the look and the feel of the vintage ones once you've held a few of them too. The joints are different. MEagles are shooting MEagles out again. The companies come back last year. I think actually in end of 2017 they started reproducing. We were at a, what was it, Dirt Cheap, or where was it?
Dirt Cheap.
If you're from the South and you know what Dirt Cheap is,
Hudson Salvage.
Hudson Salvage. If you do RA, retail arbitrage, they're the bomb places, at least for us. We've always made a ton of money there, even on vacation if we travel there. After Halloween. After Halloween.
Ooh, that's a good place.
I'll have to show you some pictures of some of the hauls we did from there from a few years back. But one Christmas, our kids got like
Legos.
49 sets of Legos, and including like the full-size Batman sets. And these are like nowadays, if we would have kept them in the boxes, they're like $500 sets. Rats. And we were getting them at, you know, 5 to 10 cents on the dollar at there. Dirt Cheap in Hudson's if you're from the South. Yep. Again, you're going to have to hunt and pick. We were there just the other day, well, for Christmas, because, you know, the kids were sick, so a couple of us went out traveling and looking around and trying to do some RA. We found a bunch of Rick and Morty Lego, still sealed in the boxes, you know, 10 cents on the dollar there. So we raked out on Rick and Morty's. We raked out on, what were those little magic mystery boxes for Rick and Morty too? We found a bunch of those. Yeah. So, I mean, we did RA for Legos this past Christmas. For those of you who don't do RA, you're missing out a lot. You can RA on eBay as well too. Obviously, RAing on Amazon is much better. Obviously, if you're haven't been on there for a long time, you're probably gated, but you know, I'm going to start talking about some of that in my Patreon group and trying to get some more people on board with that too. Again, there is Patreon videos coming out this weekend. I've got 2 separate Patreon videos for this weekend. That's earlier. You pop down here. Let me. Yeah, I'll show you because.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, so. I work behind the scenes.
Yeah, the wife does all the stuff you're listing, and she helps pack, payroll, things like that too.
I have anxiety issues. I like to hang back in the shadows.
Heatwave in Sydney. Now, Duncan sells like postal history and collectibles like that too. I'm going to post some paper items and talk about stamps coming up here soon. You're going to need a ton of videos on stamps, but I'm going to show you some high dollar ones too out of our collection here. I see I always get way back behind. Yeah, I hunted around for the background rusted raccoon. You got to be careful on picking backgrounds. You got to pick public domain or royalty free or have a paid site. You know, we have some paid sites. As I said, I don't make any money off this channel. I haven't made a dime off the channel itself. I know she's giving me the looks, but
what?
the videos and stuff, I literally have invested back. We've got better microphones, we've got better equipment. Hopefully this live feed here is much clearer than you've seen before. We've been playing around with the lights, and I mean spending some time on it so that the quality's better. Again, the live show or the regular standard videos will have better quality right off the bat. You should see it in a couple more days. I do shoot ahead of time too, just FYI. Kathy saying hello. Hello, Kathy Steele, to the wife there. You got a whole bunch of hellos. Yeah, I'm catching up to your questions, so if you got some questions in there, pop them out. Yeah, Black Crystal Dice. Just as we were saying, the wife gets first dibs on all of that. I mean, and there's certain things that I keep. There's certain things that our kids keep. You know, I wouldn't say we're hoarders, but we've got certain areas. Well,
we're
business
pretty close.
hoarding.
We're pack rats.
Pack rats for certain things, yeah. We've got all this back stock too, and I know a lot of people call it dead stock or dead pile, but it's back stock for us. We wouldn't have to even shop or source for the rest of this year probably if I really wanted to. And we're still not in a storage facility. As I said, though, I do have a huge, massive storage locker haul. You're going to see like 7,500 records, all LPs. I usually don't buy LPs. She'll probably be helping, and I'll probably have Ian, maybe a couple of the kids helping to unload. I'll show you the works of it. I don't know if I'm going to show you at the facility because it's like 15 degrees outside right now, and I'm not really interested in staying outside too long, and it's supposed to be down to 16 this weekend. This is the weekend we pick it up, unfortunately.
I think it's supposed to be like 1.
Well, 1. We got a big storm
Sunday
coming
or
in.
Monday, you know.
It's snowing outside right now. It's been snowing all day, hasn't it? Pretty much all day.
I have no idea. I've been doing laundry.
But snow-wise, we got some snow coming in, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to shoot much outside. So you'll get to see it as we pull it in from the car. We've got an enclosed garage and the whole works, so we're going to bring it in. You don't ever want to leave records sitting out in the temperature and climate anyway. So let's move on and see what we got. Yes, Ship and Sunshine, this is the wife. I know probably somebody expected somebody else on the channel, other folks from other channels. We still haven't decided on whether we're going to do that or what I want to do. I don't want to muddy what we do up. And again, no disrespect to anybody. I love some other channels. Wade's Ventures has got a really good channel. He's one of the ones, it's actually the only one I've actually went out on. I've turned down quite a few people. I've got a couple people that have hit me up quite a few times. I'm not looking to get somebody else on the channel to market to you and trying to sell you any package deal or anything like that. Nothing wrong with the people who do that. I have no problem with whatsoever. That's just not my model. You know, I like to show you what we do. And then, of course, you know, a big chunk of our business I don't share with anybody just because, obviously, I'm not going to give you my bread and butter. The eBay is great and all, but you know that's not really our bread and butter. That's not where we make the majority of what we got these days. eBay does awesome. It's a good chunk of change that comes in, and I wouldn't give it up for the life of me. But you know, there's more to what we do than just what we show you. You know, we're not going to do drop ship anymore, though. You know, there's horror stories about drop shipping for those of you. Let's see if we got some more.
Right here.
Yeah, boast away. I'm not sure.
No, but right here.
Hang on, let me get back to there for just a second. Let me get Ship and Sunshine, Boast Away.
Oh, thank you.
Be Proud, I'm 49. I got my bachelor's at 34, John Carlson. Congratulations. Weird is good, weird is interesting. Kathy, I see that. Let me see here, where are we at?
Right here.
How do you tweet your nature pictures behind you? This is just a domain picture. This is obviously... I'll give it away here in a second. It's obviously a green screen behind us.
What?
You know, we can put actual video behind us too. I was going to put snow behind us, but I didn't want to get anybody sick if it's snowing really heavy behind us and it starts to whirl or something. It's snowing outside and it's a festive time of year, so we've got Ian over here playing with Legos today. Speaking of Legos, we've got a ton of them. Yeah, Ian's busted over there.
All right, you're fired, buddy. Get out of here.
I've talked about the people who work for us now. I know a lot of people say, you know, employees are a headache and hassle. Everybody who works for us comes to our house anyway. They're all over here. You know, he's got free run of the house, and most of the kids' friends have free run of the house. So if somebody's, you know, at the house, you know, and they work for us, what's the difference, you know? We joke around with them, you know, we've got a good rapport with them and stuff like that.
I cook for them.
She cooks for them, you know. We had alligator last night, believe it or not.
Yeah, fried alligator.
Wasn't the greatest. No, it wasn't the cooking.
Whoa.
It wasn't the cooking. It was it was, if you ever had alligator, we went, as I said, down to the Gulf Coast in Mississippi. If you ever had alligator, steaks, like tail meat steak or something's the best. The rib meat's like the worst.
The tail meat's the best.
Yeah, the tail meat's the best. And we've had it half a dozen different ways, but my youngest hadn't had it, and we were there, and and my father-in-law bought some for my kids to try out and stuff. We did eat it in a restaurant while we were down there too.
Cousins in Bay St. Louis.
Yeah, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi.
It's a really good place to eat.
Whole town was wiped out from the hurricane, if you're not familiar. The landing for the hurricane was actually in Waveland,
yep,
Mississippi. It did not land in New Orleans, technically. And you can look it up. That's a fact. So, you know, that's the area that hit it. And still to this day, it was depressing to see the coast because all the houses were wiped out, the nice old antebellums and stuff. And it's all like expensive, ritzy, high-rise condominiums and stuff up there now, and there's nothing really of quaintness that used to be there, and it was pretty depressing. We used to source there. We've done eBay since eBay was eBay, and we've sourced 10, 15 years ago.
I miss the old mom and pop shops.
Mom and pop stores. There was several that we knew by heart, and when we sourced in New Orleans, there was, you know, 2 blocks in from the French Quarter, Café Dumas, there was just a strip of some of the best little tiny dinky antique stores you could ever imagine, and we scored in almost every one of those stores, store after store after store. I mean, you know, our biggest mistake is not going full-time in eBay. If we would have done it then, we'd be so much farther along. You know, you live and you learn, and our dog's down here, so, but you live and you learn. And that's the reason why I say, you know, I wish we would have went full-time years ago, and I wouldn't have missed all this time from my family, my wife, the kids. We'll never be able to replace that, but, you know, at least nowadays we can do whatever the heck we want without having to worry about anything. So, let me see here where we at. Oh, the jewelry pictures. The wife takes every jewelry picture we get. You know, I
hope they're good.
Some of the earlier ones, with some of the earlier ones, she didn't do. So those are mine. The bad ones are mine.
Somebody else.
Those are mine.
Stunk.
But any ones you see with like black or on the half bust or the hands or anything like that,
all
she
the
did
good
them
ones are me.
she does do good jewelry pictures. We do have a Nikon 5300 DSLR. And that takes the bomb. We've got extra lenses for it, so we have the whole macro set and the micro set and the whole works, and it does incredible close-ups. She's got more patience than I do, so she does all of the jewelry.
I hide it.
You don't hide it, but you do it, so it works just fine for us. So anyway, let's go back and see what we got here.
Up here. Oh, right here.
How to remove maps from old binded books when maps on 2 pages. If it's on a 2-pager like that, and it's actually 2 full-fledged pages, chances are the map's probably not worth a ton of money, would be my personal guess. If it's hand-colored, maybe it's worth still getting out. It depends on the age. If it's not hand-colored, I wouldn't mess with the map, truthfully. When they're hand-colored, though, you literally have to cut the spine off. Bend it so that there's the loop in the spine so you can see through the spine there. And you can literally cut the spine off, and you're going to have to cut the string that tie those together in there, the actual binding. Most of them are have string that ties them, and I'm not sure if they're called signature or what. One of my, has Annie on tonight. Big thank you to Annie. She's one of my subscribers. She's actually going to be admin on my Facebook as well as on my YouTube. She's done the bomb. She's given me some real good help on their Kickstarter, just FYI. I wish she was on tonight so I could go into that.
Let's see. Oh,
back to the maps, map-wise, but you're going to have to take those books apart. I wish if Annie was here, she'd tell you what those are called, but I'm terrible on the names and everything. We've taken them apart that way for years, but again, you cut the spine off. This is Henry, if you're interested. He's a full-blood Chihuahua.
A mama's boy.
Yeah, he's mama's boy. My little girl dog isn't around here right now, but
okay.
I want to see.
Oh, you want to see
you
the
want
dog?
to see Henry?
He might growl.
All right.
That's Henry.
Oh, it's
He can be feisty. We had him since he was a puppy.
Yeah.
His parents were both, you know, full-blood too. They had papers and all, but we weren't interested in breeding him, so we didn't spend the money on the papers. We just wanted the dogs because they were adorable.
Okay.
I used to be a big dog type of person, or a beagle-wise. I had a beagle for years. Let me see here. I'm sorry I get lost on these, but book-wise, I will probably cover breaking down a book here soon because I've got one sitting here right this second. So why don't I just cover a book-wise in a future video? Let me actually write that down here too. A book breakdown for you. I have covered the print ads too, but we'll go over a book with tight binding, and I'll show you exactly how to tear that puppy apart. Well, thank you, Cherry Picker Thrifter. I appreciate that. Sweet. We've been together for a long time. Maybe I'll pop up in our Facebook or some of the early pictures.
Right here.
We were at Disney for, together for 10 years basically.
Yeah.
Every year they have a cast Christmas party, and they give you a free picture. And I've got pictures from the first year we met all the way through, just at the cast Christmas party. They used to close the parks down just for employees.
The cast members.
And we had the whole park to ourselves.
That's
and then
nice.
they changed that later on in the scheme so they could save some money. And then they basically just had like substations that were only employees could enter, and we still got our free Christmas ornaments and the newspapers and all that kind of stuff they gave us too.
Right here.
Let me see here. Any advice you can give my son on what to look for in Fredericksburg, VA area, Civil War related? Metal detecting would be the #1 thing I could tell you, honestly. And if anybody's interested, I can show you some of my metal detecting scores from Mississippi if you're interested at some point. We used to do Vicksburg and stuff. I was a regional in VA, if you're not familiar. We were there for 9/11, and I used to deliver to like 34 stores or something like that. I was a regional manager. We handled procurement, ordering, shipment, processing to all the stores in my region. Like as a wholesale business-wise, I was the go-to guy for Washington, Virginia, and Maryland. So we spent a lot of time in there. We used to hang out at Fort Ward, and I think Fort Washington and Maryland we used to go to too. And then we did, I had a client, the Annapolis Naval Academy is one of my clients. We did the Pentagon occasionally too. So, I've been around the block up there. But antique-wise, you're going to be in like Civil War heaven up there to look at, but to buy, everybody's got it, I would say, and they know the values from what I saw. We looked at a bunch of stores. You're just not going to find a ton of stuff up there, in my personal opinion, that's going to be cheap and reasonable to swap and buy, in my opinion. There's enough of it up there. Some people mess with just, dug items, relic condition-wise, which we've sold many items too. It's a tough one to tell you from Fredericksburg, because I've been up there many times, We actually went up there and did some other client business for one of my other businesses while we were there too. So, and I have sourced in there. When we were in Virginia, I was doing eBay, of course, and we did source up there and stuff like that too. So, I can tell you to be extremely cautious. There's a lot of fakes in the Civil War field. Even dug items I've seen that were faked, and they weren't real. They were modern day, that were made to look like they were dug, and they just were pardon me, but crap items basically. Big Drift, Thrift, I'm assuming you're a Big Drift who we've been talking on email. If that is the case, I will drop you a line tonight on the Hangout. Let me see, where are we at? There's 2 eyes now to look, so hopefully we'll get a little better judge on this.
Oh, she likes the background.
Oh, I really want to watch. Let me see here. With the amount of items you list and see, am I missing part of it, I think. Yeah, new background. Yeah, we're going to change it up as the weather changes.
I'm right here.
How do I keep track of all the items for bookkeeping? I'm not one to give advice on bookkeeping. I'm not going to really give you a ton of advice on that. I do a different type of business than everybody else does. I've got labor involved. I've got many other aspects that you wouldn't see that we do. So I've got a whole different structure than anybody else, and probably a totally different structure than most every YouTuber on here, just by employee. Craigslist Hunter is probably the only one that would have maybe something similar to what we do. I can tell you the best bet when you're first starting out is to go line by line. I use Excel for everything. I'm an old school Excel guy, and again, I'll call back to Lou for a second. Lou showed me every little aspect of Excel. Thanks to Lou, I'm a Microsoft Office person. I love it. I don't have to do any cloud computing. I do not trust cloud computing. You should not trust cloud computing as well either. Ian told me here when we were discussing stuff before the live feed, a big, huge, major hack that's exposed tons of email, Yahoo, Google. So, if you haven't changed your password, I would honestly recommend the minute you get off here to go change your passwords in everything you can think of. At least look up the hack and see what it is. Facebook's been hacked, 2 or 3 big ones real recently. So, I'm very leery of all of that. We actually were put behind. I was going to do some more stuff. So we actually had a hard drive in the wife's laptop die, so
Yeah.
I had to tear apart her laptop today and figure out what the deal was, and turns out it actually doesn't spin anymore, which is a bummer. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a hard drive in there. So part of my day was reinstalling software on hers. We've got other ones sitting back up here too, and a couple more over here, but when you get a laptop that you actually like, you kind of, they're right up there.
Yeah, I loved mine.
You kind of, well, it's up, it's working now actually. So,
Oh.
you know, I'm anal retentive when it comes to a broken piece of IT. I have an IT degree, so I hate having something broken in the house, and it's something that we always use. So I sat there while I was doing everything else with a bunch of laptops running on the counter while I did all the updates and reinstalled, and I installed the hard drive in the laptop. And if you ever taken a laptop apart, you'll know what I mean. It can be a little tedious with, you miss one little screw in one spot, it doesn't want to come apart. I've got all the tools. I've got the pry bars and the little plastic clips and all that kind of stuff too. Is it okay? Is it lagging on your side over there? No. Okay. Let's see where we're at.
Right here, Helen.
Have you done any videos on G.I. Joe? I do have some G.I. Joes in hauls from like months ago. I left her a ton, and she still has them in storage. She separated the figures from the weapons and clothes, and it's hard to know where to start. There is I think it's called the G.I. Joe Encyclopedia on the net, and it literally has a breakdown of like what was issued in the original wooden footlocker, and it'll kind of give you an idea on what goes with what. There's actually a price guide just for G.I. Joe. I'm assuming you're talking about the full size, the MEagle size, the 8 or 10 inch, whatever size they are. Those would be the ones I'm assuming you're talking about. There's a ton of price guides. If you don't want to buy it and it's a one-time thing, the library has a copy of it. At least ours does. It's not the local one. You can do like you search Ohio we have, and we have an Ohio link. So we can search and get items from, why don't you refresh it? It's looking really terrible over here. There's price guides for all that, and they list individual illustrations for most of the items from the ones that I've personally seen. So I just get them from the library when I get them, or I literally just do it on eBay. I don't honestly worry about putting a set together too much anymore, unless it's, you know, one that I know, like the scuba diver set. I know what goes with that. I know what goes with the ski set and things like that. I played with them as a kid. So anyway, is it acting up?
I refreshed it.
Okay, but it was acting, and we were acting up there.
Back.
Let me get some more.
Oh.
I thought so.
Let
me see.
My dog.
Her dog's following her. Again, Henry, our dog there, he's Mama's boy, so he goes wherever she goes. It's like having a little shadow around the house. Thanks for the knob video. The next week I found a few cabinet ones for $5 and sold in a week for $85. I'm telling you, people think I put up these oddball items. I can promise you, every single bolo I have put up, I have sold those items across the board. No lie, no fantasy world here. I sell those items. The reason I do those videos is because I know those items. You don't see me doing a ton of clothing videos or things out of the categories I don't sell because I don't know those items. I'm not going to share something with you that I don't know myself. So, you know, that's just the way I personally do things. I'm not going to share bad information. If I don't know the area, I'm not going to talk about it. Doorknobs, door pulls, all of that stuff makes a ton of money. My son's actually cast some that we're selling as well, too. You can do new versions of doorknobs. You can do new versions of drawer pulls. You can, hey Ian, see the cast pieces over there, the heads? Hand me them both. There's 2 of them over there. I'm going to show you what my son does, and we'll talk about prices on stuff like this. People ask me all the time, you know, you don't source. People don't see me sourcing very much because I don't really need to. We're starting to do a lot of stuff ourselves. My son cast these. These are 2 drawer pulls. All we got to do is cut off and do the drilling in the back. This is just copper. These are old copper pipes that I spent 80 cents on an 8-foot section of copper pipes. A couple pounds in there. These are probably 4 ounces or so a piece of copper, so I've got pennies into them. He's got a kiln that goes up to 2,300 degrees. These solid door pulls, you can look them up. You can look up Native American door or drawer pull, $60 or better. That's a piece now, mind you. So this is roughly $100. You can hear they're solid copper. These things weigh a lot. There's so much things you can do, and these are just sand cast heads off of something else. I did not sculpt this. I will not take credit for sculpting this, but my son has gotten very good at sand casting here in the house. You know, so this is another avenue that you can do. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but there is so much stuff that you can do at your own place, your own establishment, that you won't have to source for. You know, look outside the box, for crying out loud. I say that all the time. You know, I get criticism for this and that, but everything that I put up, everything that I show you is stuff that I mess with. I make doorknobs with my son. I make drawer pulls with my son. So, you know, I know my areas. So, you know, thanks for that on the doorknobs, Carl. I'm glad it helps. There's a reason I show you these videos, because I'm into those items. You know, again, my son, these are just solid cast out of sand. He literally pushed a piece into the sand, pulled it out. He figured out all the schematics, all the layouts, the whole works. So, you know, me and him put the kiln together out of, you know, a scrapped out unit we paid $30 for. We ordered new parts. $125 my son had a kiln, and he's able to constantly make stuff that he sells. He's paid for that kiln like 50 times over, at least, including the electricity. I know people complain and talk about, you know, the gas you use driving around to pick up, you know, RA, retail arbitrage and stuff like that. I use a ton more electricity than anybody else does, but I'm getting something out of it. If you're driving somewhere to pick something up, the cost outweighs, you know, is outweighed by the benefit you're getting from these items, you know. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'll throw a ton of money out the window if it's going to get me somewhere. I'm not going to worry about blowing some money, you know, for right now, because I'm looking at what's going to happen a year from now. You know, if you're not looking ahead, boy, you're just spinning your wheels here. You're just wasting your time. You know, let's go back to some questions. I know I'm terrible on questions. Let's see here. Hey, could you have any more special guests? Delighted to meet Marky.
Thank you.
You can ask her some questions if anybody does. Tara Lee, have you ever hit the Minge Avenue Flea Market? Yes, we were actually just talking about that.
Oh.
If you're in the South, you live in the coast right there, right off of the what's the road called? What's that road called? It's the beach roads.
It's Long Beach.
It's in Long Beach area, but there's a road that's called Minge that dead ends on the Gulf. And Minge Avenue has a flea market out there. We've been there years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to go with the holidays and all, but we have been there. I have bought some military items there and some old-timer stuff, some bottles and stuff. I think I even got a helmet there last time, World War II combat helmet with the liner.
And depression glass.
Depression glass,
Sharon
too.
Cabbage Rose.
Hey, there's Annie. Annie has been a very big help to me. You know, I was waiting for an answer, so I'll probably call her out if she's interested. And maybe Annie does internet marketing.
She
and
wants
things,
to see the dog too. He had to go to the
that's
bathroom.
old, so she's probably already got to see it. Yeah, I'm catching that. We're catching back up here. So.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, the love of my life. So you know, this is the truth. You know, we're best buds. We're our 25th, or I'm sorry, our 27th anniversary is this month. So we've got 27 years together, happily married.
I met him when I was 18.
We've been together ever since.
And I've been, you know, with him. Stuck with him.
Stuck with him, yeah, okay. I see how you are. Yeah, we've got another dog around here, too. See, I figured Annie would know. Signatures is the term I was looking for. I will show you a breakdown on a book. I don't know all the terms. Annie astonished me. She sent me probably one of the best critiques of something. A lot of people are bothered when somebody critiques their work and stuff. Annie came out of her way to offer. So I want to thank Annie. I've asked her if there's anything I can do for her. You know, it's a good thing. I've talked about, you know, part of why we do this. This is interacting. This is socializing. This is networking. Annie opened my eyes to a lot of stuff in my Kickstarter, and you know, it's a real big help. Tomorrow you'll see it changed up a lot. I have only been involved with Kickstarters with somebody else. This is our first on our own. Oh, yeah. I kind of guess it's a test. I don't care if we hit the total or not. I'm happy as I can be because we actually got it up and running. So, and it wasn't as bad as I thought on my own. So we're going to do a whole bunch more in areas that we've already been successful. And again, with the Kickstarter, I've sold 2 already, so my money's already made. I'm still pending answers from the museum. I've already got Toy Deal with the New York Toy Company ready to roll, and I've got a second one lined up already. So if Kickstarter doesn't go, no big deal. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I can't say that enough. Throw your cards out on the table and see what happens. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm going to show you. It's when you take the spine off, you can see like stacked up, looks like little tiny books, and those are all stitched together in the earlier books. And I cut those stitches out. You're going to need a knife to cut it up, but I'm going to show that in a video because that could be a 10-minute ordeal to get a book apart properly without ruining anything.
Right here, Jim.
Hang on a second. Henry has a hidden Mickey face. Yeah, if you're not familiar, I got to call this one out. Shop at Rihanna's. At Disney, the biggest thing is that there's hidden Mickeys everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're like in some of the attractions, like Indiana Jones, wasn't that?
Indiana Jones.
Where's the little R2-D2 that's in one of the rides?
I have no idea.
Okay, one of the rides there has an R2-D2 and C-3PO hidden in the wall in it.
It's not an Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's not in a Star Wars one, but everywhere you go, there's hidden Mickeys and everywhere. There's actually people who put together books to point them out, and we used to know where they were all at, especially in the Haunted Mansion, because I've gotten to play in all those attractions with the lights on and nobody in there. You know, we get to walk the tracks and all that stuff, and get to see, you know, like Space Mountain with the lights on, and I've gotten to play behind the scenes. We used to play hide and go seek and tag and stuff in It's a Small World because, you know, it was maze back in that place. You know,
Hidden Mickeys.
Hidden Mickeys was the thing. Yeah, I know Hidden Mickeys all too well. Hey, Stephen Rose Resells, how you doing?
And then Jim Hawk has a...
You are welcome. Depends on the one. You're welcome to post some pictures, Jim Hawk, in my Facebook group, and I will tell you what the deal is on them.
On the Victorian cards?
Yeah, on the Victorian cards.
I like the Victorian cards. I really like to see the history of where our heads were back then and how far we've come. And I have my own nice little collection
as
that
everything.
I've taken
We
for
send them to
myself.
relatives occasionally and things like that. Aaron's fixing computer right now. Yeah, I do everything here. I haven't had a computer in the shop in probably 10 plus years, so. Thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer, yes, he is handy. That's why I married him.
I hope something you made him for. Any opinion on dice? Yes, dice are good, Carl. I've sold a ton of the bone dice. Hey, Ian, look over there on the ledge. I think there's some little miniature dice underneath where the Legos are, maybe. Little tiny bag, maybe up there somewhere. No.
I'm gonna have some more wine.
Don't worry about it. Just I'll show them in another video. There's little tiny micro dice, and those are the ones that I try to look for more than anything. The miniature stuff I love, and I've talked about. You've seen the videos on miniatures.
Yeah.
I sell a ton of dice. Don't worry about it, Ian. Who knows where it's at?
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons dice. The original ones sell. The specialty dice, 20-sided dice, all that kind of stuff I sell a ton of, honestly. Not a ton, but I sell it whenever I get it. I haven't had any vintage Dungeons and Dragons dice in a long time. I got coloring books the other day from Dungeons and Dragons. I got some cutouts, and I've shown you some of the metal figures that I've had. So I buy those all the time. The little Hell Park, I can't think of the name of it, but Rail Parkman or something like that. I can't think. Somebody will holler it out, I'm sure.
I messed up all my Dungeons and Dragons dice. I super glued them all together.
You can take super glue off.
I was a teenager, so forgive me.
Eileen Albright is Bugs, your favorite one.
Bugs! Oh, yes.
She loves Bugs. We've actually bought from Malaysia or something. They were giant beetles.
Buffalo dung beetles.
Yeah, they were huge
I
like
think
that.
it was from Thailand.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
You can buy those, import them undried, and then you can actually make your own little dioramas with them, and those can sell for like 10 times your investment in them. Now, it takes a little skill. You have to move them and dry them off carefully and preserve them. They break apart if you're not safe, yeah. So most of the time, if you're doing that, they make them in like glass containers, but they sell horrendously high, you know, and it's most people here in the U.S. will buy them, but they won't buy them from overseas. So we saw some other people making some good money buying them from overseas, drying them and setting them all up and stuff. So that's where you make your money at doing the Bugs. Bugs sell all the time. I just sold a ton of, somebody bought a whole bunch of die-cut butterflies that I had. So everything insect-wise, somebody bought the Beatles a couple of days ago. Not the music group, but little bug beetles stuff. Thank you, Helen.
Oh, Penny, thank you.
I know we're probably behind on some of these, but we're catching up, or I'm trying to. Think outside the box, yes.
Oh, yeah. Hey, W. Wally, we are going on 21
congratulations.
years. All right.
We're from 1,000 miles away, so we actually would have never met if we both didn't.
Mississippi and Ohio.
If we didn't end up down in Florida.
My chair squeaks.
Yeah, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. I'm terrible on calling that kind of stuff out. I always get that one person who shows up just to leave the negative, but I don't really care. Let's see where we're at. Let's see if I can catch up to here and get some more questions. Hidden innuendos are, if Aaron's referring to probably like things like the Little Mermaid cover from the original VHS diamond, Black Diamond one. The castle was intentionally drawn to look like a certain male organ.
A piano?
That box, that's one of the few Disney VHS that I sell right away every time I get it. It maybe only goes for 15 or 20 bucks, but I sell it every time. It's the only one I even look for. The whole Black Diamond stuff is just a scam. Let me see here. Per Quay, my wife and I are building accounts. I have 721 feedbacks.
And this one right here.
Where is the link in the Kickstarter? I fortunately do not have it here in this listing. I have a, it's in my Facebook group. As soon as you open up the page, it's actually pinned to the top. And I have a video here. Pardon me?
You want me to find it? Like, is there a way
I don't know if, yeah, you can go to Kickstarter. You can pop it into the feed if you would, Ian. Do you know how to do that?
I can try.
Ian will see if he can pop that into the feed for us. Let me go back to that question. I didn't want to miss anything here. Per Quay, let's see. I'm sure I'm terribly butchering your name. 721 feedbacks with still 100% rating. We are always watching your videos and building our knowledge. Watch everybody's videos you can. Obviously, there's some terrible people out there doing YouTube videos that are only out for your money. I'm not doing that. I mean, that's not my goal here, but, you know, knowledge is power. Carl got an old 1800s German Bible, big and heavy leather and beautiful detail and cover, but spine is falling apart. How old is it, I guess, is the question. If it's pre-1860 or in that range, it probably, yeah, that could be a big range. It depends on the age. If it's just a typical 1800 German-era Bible, a person from Germany is not going to want to spend the money to have that shipped overseas because you can't go book rate. So you're stuck to a U.S. market with that. And in damaged condition, depending on if it's a pulpit Bible, it could go for a little money. It could be a printer of that Bible that could make it worth more money. It just depends. You're welcome to post some pictures in the Facebook group, too, if you'd like on that one.
And Annie, she just sold some 20-sided dice.
Turn into earrings. Yeah, just like the dominoes in the dominoes video. They turn them into earrings. I see all kinds of stuff turned into earrings. Dice are a specific thing. People do those and sell them at shows even, like Dragon Con and stuff like that. Comic-Con. Almost every town has like a Comic-Con. Detroit has one here, which we're going to probably set up at. I'll do some video when we do that. It's so close. You know, we missed this year's deadline. I'm going to have toys at the New York Toy Fair this year anyway with the toy company, so he's just popped that up there too if anybody's interested.
And right here, John
Is there Carlson. A good way to identify you have a lot of experience shipping to? I mean, I don't worry where it's going to, John. FPO, APO, I sell them to everybody. It doesn't really matter. I wouldn't do anything different or specific with that. It's just handled as basically U.S. postage. You don't do anything different other than you can't send a few certain things over there. I don't announce anything special. I sell to APO and FPO addresses quite often. For those who don't know, those are basically military forward addresses. You'll send them to, you know, like a local base, like it could go to California, and then from there, depending on where they're at on the globe, and then they'll route them to the appropriate person. That way, no information on location of soldiers or anything like that is declared. You just have an APO address or something along that line. FPO, same basic thing.
And these two.
Well, thank you, Marikex7. Facebook group is the Auction Professor. It's, I think, below every one of my videos. I have a Patreon page as well, too, for those of you who don't know. For the new folks in Patreon, my Patreon is not announcing anybody who's joining, and it's not showing in there at all. There's a couple more members that I don't have the total information on. Patreon said it's the way it's supposed to be, but Patreon's terrible on customer service. It took 3 weeks to answer one issue for another Patreon. I should have an answer tomorrow. So the ending video today, my end credits won't have everybody's name in it yet. I'm literally just waiting on Patreon to tell me who's actually a member and who's not on the last 3 that joined. So I think we hit the 50 Patreon marks right now. So again, I thank everybody who does that. It's a paid group, so it's not for everybody. I do share some more stuff, and I do have more videos coming out there this weekend, honestly. So just FYI. I've got a few topics I'm going to address too. In fact, as I said, let me pop back over here. Yeah, this is a big one here. This is something that is brought up all the time. I get this comment made all the time. Such and such showing me all these boxes. They're doing all this business. They're making all this money. They've got all these videos of shipping all these items up. I'm not the only one who says this. Everybody says this who's been in the business a while. I don't care what somebody else sends out. For all I know, every item they're sending out, they could have 50 packages and only make $1 a piece on those packages. That means nothing what somebody else is. Don't ever judge yourself or compare yourself to somebody else. Me, anybody. I'm nothing special. Anything we do, anybody else here can do if they have the motivation. If you don't have the motivation, I would just tell you to quit right now, honestly. Because you're just not going to make it. You're just not going to be there if you can't, you know, list from morning till night and have a drive to want to do it. I got up at, what, 5:30 with Mario? Yeah. I got up at 5:30 this morning, you know, and I started working, you know, since then. At 10-ish, I find out the laptop, so I, you know, turn apart that. Helping my oldest son who's in his 2nd year in engineering, you know, so it's a busy day, but, you know, I don't mind doing it because I'm with my family. You know, I'm able to do whatever I need to do, you know. She's got the ability to not have to deal with stuff either. We both worked in the same facility at Disney for many years together until I got a promotion and she took something else. Just because where we worked was awful after a certain point. So, you know, you got to take things as they come. Not sweat the small stuff, and at least have an interest in what you're doing. If you love sourcing and you can't list the items, you know, you're defeating the purpose. If you're new to doing this and you're buying a whole bunch of stuff and you're not listing it right away, you're doing yourself harm because you're going to end up with a whole bunch of stuff and you're not having that money come back in. And pretty soon you're going to have a huge back stock and no live stock, no live auctions. So the number one thing you can do to make money right now is keep listing. Just because the holiday's done, don't stop listing. Don't stop listing. Every day we list something, we sell some of those items. 5% is on average. If I list 100 items, 5 of those are going to sell day one. Who knows value-wise? It goes up and down, but, you know, it always increases our sales.
Nez, 66.
Hang on, let me make sure.
Oh, John Carlson. I was a military postal clerk.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I've got an interesting photo from the post office from World War II, from Iwo Jima, actually, which was kind of interesting. I can see your point on that. They do handle and are roughly handled. Sometimes they go on ships, and they might take a long time to get there. I haven't put anything special in there. I sell to an APO, FPO probably, maybe if I'm lucky, 4 or 5 times a month. You know, I don't know if maybe it would be better, but most people these days don't even read the description other than the condition statements these days. So, and most, you know, the percentage of people buying from the phone is like 25 or 30% now. So, you know, it's hard to say it's worth the time.
Right here.
Any information on reproducing old stickers? It depends on the sticker. Rule of thumb is, you know, if it's a business or corporation, I wouldn't touch it, even if it's 100 years old, because some of those can still have copyrights or patents on them, trademarks. There's a lot of things you can do. Like the typical Victorian trade cards probably got a dead patent. I see people reproducing them every day. Most of the companies don't exist, haven't existed in years. Rule of thumb is if it's, you know, there's a certain date. I think if it's before 1921 or 22, most of that item's safe. Even some musical, like John Philip Sousa, you can play original recordings of him over anything. Even on YouTube, if you go to the music, your music selections for your videos, there's a ton of actually early jazz from 78s on there. Wow, I appreciate that. Thank you very kindly, J.I. Oh, Joyce. Okay, thank you very kind. Joycelyn, I really appreciate that. Thank you very kindly.
And W. Wally, I'm taking pictures for listing right now while listening to you.
Yeah, I throw stuff on too. It's a good motivation. Now, 66, you know, I don't see myself as a motivational person. I know a lot of people say when I say that, of course you are, but this is me. I mean, I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. I'm not trying to say, hey, do this. This is what I do. This is, I don't know how, this is how I am, like, all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
people wonder why I'm, you know, Ian,
You've always been this way.
I've always been this way. I walk faster than everybody else, and, you know, I do stuff a certain way, and I'm not trying to brag or anything. Again, I'm not trying to be braggart at all, but, you know, this is me. I mean, you know, if we were watching, most people should know who Steve Irwin is. No, we were a big fan of the Crocodile Hunter, and his son's now out there and stuff, and, you know, we were talking about stuff like that. You know, he is the character you see on TV, or was, I'm sorry. He passed away, for those who don't know who he is, but they have a new show on right now, and it's the family. It's the Irwins now. And I've always, he's one of the few people that, star famous-wise, I admired the guy, because he did what he wanted to. He didn't care what anybody thought about him, and if you saw him in public, that was him.
Yeah, he was true to himself.
And this is me. This is me no matter where you go. If you see me in public, this is me. I'm not, there's no facade. I'm not putting on anything else like that. I know a lot of people are putting it out, trying to give you what you want. This is honestly me.
Yeah, and I'm not fancy, so...
Yeah, we're not fancy people. We got the money. We just aren't worried about doing it, you know?
And this way, Ryan Mack. I'm glad I'm not driving. Ugh.
Wayne County. Good luck on that one. And again, thank you, Joycelyn Johnson. I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very kindly.
Thank you.
We, as you see, everything goes back into here. We're out here to help. Excuse me. This is us. You know, this is the real us.
That was the kids.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Dottie.
Oh, been a reseller for 10 years. Okay.
And thank you, Aaron, as well, too. Let me hit a couple more questions here, too, because I do have a long list. As I said, I keep a list. Excuse me. We're still getting over the cold, so...
Oh, I had strep throat, not a cold. I think Ian... You okay over there? You need a break.
Let me just touch on the eBay suing it as well, too. If you're not familiar... eBay is suing Amazon, stating that they're luring third-party... Excuse me.
Yeah, the one to help.
They said they're luring their sellers, which I would say are. FBA is obviously better than eBay's model. I know a lot of people complain about FBA and having to drive around and gas and all this stuff. For me, the profits far outweigh it. I can send something off, and I don't ever have to see it again unless I pull it back or, you know, have it destroyed or something. I know there's a storage fee with it, but then I can donate or put my time into doing eBay on top of it. So I've got a business that's sending stuff off for me, and then I got my own stuff going off as well, too. So, and as I said, we've got artwork businesses. We've got DBAs. We've got several of them now. So we do other things. Other things go out in the mail, you know, so it takes off the leeway. I'd rather spend time to source out stuff. And I just like our labor, I've got an accountant that does payroll for us. I don't follow that. And, you know, I could have done that myself. We're taking more stuff off. And since with my son and his issues and stuff like that, we're moving some stuff aside and letting other people do it, even if it costs us a little more money, because then we can advance the business and I'll have more time tied up in other things that are bigger deals, like wholesale purchases. This past Christmas, wholesale was the game for us. Legos were the bomb. You know, you've got, you know, Legos at Ross's, TG Maxx, Burlington Coat Factory, and stuff like that. So those are areas you can be looking at too. Well, thank you, Eileen. I'm sorry, Albright. Let me go back to a couple, because again, I never ever get to all my questions here. Let me see here. Excuse me.
It's all the talking.
Yeah, I haven't talked since I've been getting over the cold, so I've been taking Mucus D for like a week. I have to excuse me there.
Oh, True 72.
Excuse me. Oh, well, thank you, Carl. I really appreciate that.
And True 72, thank you so much for the postcard.
Excuse me.
And thank you, Carl.
Yeah, we do sell... Excuse me. We sell postcards of our artwork 5 to 7 times a week, probably on average. So I say we do make a good chunk of change from that. For most people, if you want a big income and you want to make some money, you need all kinds of little tiny small things to do. Artwork makes us 15K or 16K. It's growing each year. Models, we're getting money back now. We do eBay. Retail arbitrage gets us money. You know, other avenues that we can do. So I do artwork. I do Etsy, Discogs. And there's some other private sites. There's a stamp site we're on. There's a postcard site we're on. I'm going to call those out to you guys too. Again, thanks for the super chats. I really honestly appreciate those. Again, I'm not one to call out and ask for a lot of stuff like that. I honest to God appreciate it. It makes our life a little easier and we're able to do more things. I've been trying to religiously put out a video every single day of the week, and it does take a lot of effort. And as I said, most of the money that we get, honest to God, goes right back into here. I mean, the Brio alone is almost $200 that we got, and you got a microphone, that's $150, not counting the stands, the green screens. Green screens are a necessity for us due to where we got to film at, because obviously you wouldn't want to see a big panel window or anything like that and stuff. But
Duncan wants to send wants us to send some cold weather.
I don't think it would last. That's a long ways to Australia. I really don't think it would last.
Melissa, thank you.
Well, thank you. Yes, thank you very kindly.
Hey, Aaron, you got the day off. All right, buddy.
Yeah, nobody gets the day off. Sunday is my half a day usually when I'm doing something. Sunday is usually the only day that we don't do much at all. We try to keep it a family day.
Oh, and I still do dishes and laundry, so yeah.
Did you find the Facebook group link?
Which one? There's 2 in your shortcuts on Facebook.
Yeah, I won't. I've got 2. You can do either one, probably.
Yeah, Michael, is there a link to your Facebook group? Michael Vargas.
Well, thank you, Black Crystal. We try for the content, and I've talked about. I've been a retail or a regional manager for a long time. I would go in and talk to groups of people weekly, all the time. That's what I did. My job was to sit there and talk to big groups of people. When pagers existed, I was always on the phone or on a pager.
Oh, the pager.
Excuse me, I hate to be doing this on the video. So, I mean, I'm used to talking and addressing issues. I mean, I make mistakes. I do things that, you know, other people, you know, just are able to do better than me, I guess I could say. So I do make mistakes. Just because you see me do something again, it doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. I give you what I do. And obviously there's many people who have done similar things and have gotten real good results out of it. So, and I hear that every single day of the week these days. So again, I'm not trying to brag, but we've done this for a long time. I'm giving you a shortcut, I guess you could say. A shortcut to get to the end of the road, to get to where you're going to be able to do this as a living. And if you're not going to diversify, though, you know, again, you might stop doing this. I mean, it's just, that's what usually happens with most people. Part of the reason...
Shout out to Special K. Hello.
Thank you. Some people fail because they just don't want to expand. They're too nervous. And as I said, like the Kickstarter, I was nervous. I didn't want to waste time. But I thought, you know, it's a good experience. If you learn something and you're able to... whiskey for the voice. Yeah, I'm not a whiskey drinker. Maybe some tequila or some...
or some whiskey.
Well, not whiskey. Tequila, margarita, something like that.
Oh, and Shippin' Sunshine, are you involved with or utilizing any art grants? You can be vague on it if you are, just curious.
Art grants, there's a place in Orlando. I have 2 state of Florida purchases. The state of Florida has a purchase program that purchases. I'm eligible in the state of Florida to be in the state purchase program because the Valencia Community College bought a piece through the state's funding, and the Maitland Art Center, which is a museum in Maitland, excuse me, actually bought a piece too at an art competition that I did. So I do have some ties with some things. I do not have any art grants or anything right now. I know they are available. This has just been a sideline. I do the models and things anyway. I would do them even if I wasn't selling them. So for me, I haven't applied for any of those. There's so much things I could do. That's why I say, if you're not making enough money, try doing something else. Expand the business. You know, there's just so many other things you can do. like the doorknobs my son makes, like the models I make, like Christmas cards, postcards. I'm going to show you guys how to make a vintage Victorian Christmas ornament from start to finish and give you an option here in a video coming up soon. It's things like that that you can make on your own and make some money. All the time I get people asking, you know, we can't find sources for this, can't find sources for that. Make something. There's just so many things that you don't need a ton of talent for that you can make. You know, it's not just all art. It's not just, you know, fanciful things that you make. So anyway, we're running down to the end. I want to get Ian home before the weather gets too bad out here. So we are going to call it off here on this moment. Again, I appreciate both of those. Carl, I will look at that. Again, I appreciate both of you for the super chats. You know, I really do appreciate all the folks, the feedback, the comments.
Both do.
I mean, we try very hard. You may not see the wife as much as me, but she works behind the scenes just as hard as I do every day of the week. You know, we both have the kids to deal with, too. We've got employees and the whole works. So, you know, we do what we can. You know, I'm honest with people. I try to do the right thing. We do the right thing in life. You know, I'm not even a speeder or anything like that in the car. So, you know, I'm trying to be straight out, straightforward with you. So, anyway, I appreciate everybody coming on. If you didn't hit the like button, please hit that like button. My wife here, maybe we can get her on the live chats with us too, maybe.
Thank you, Carl.
Appreciate everybody coming on. Again, this is us. This is who we are, Marky and Don. We've been a couple for 27 years, so
Thanks, Jennifer.
We're not going anywhere. This is us. So I appreciate everybody. Everybody have a good night. Hopefully your sales are good, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.